Tuesday, a dreary looking Tuesday.
I know, a really cloudy Tuesday. I was just coming back from O'Hare because we were doing some reports on holiday travel from there. And I was like, it literally looks like it's dark outside. And then coming in here before the studio lights are on, it's just like, man, I'm ready for a little nap. Give me that fuzzy blanket. And let me just lay down on the couch for a little bit.
Well, we had the rain last night, and then this morning we're getting socked in with cloud cover. Some locations still have dense fog.
Caitlin, we literally cannot complain because I sound like a Debbie Downer, but it's only going to get worse from here.
It is, because that's the thing. Today is really warm. We're already in the upper 40s. Some of us flirting with 50. Here's your 7-day forecast, the all-important Thanksgiving week forecast. So highs today in the 50s, well above where we should be for this time of year. Our normal high is in the mid-40s, okay? Well, we have changes coming as soon as tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the whiplash day because a cold front's moving through. It's going to bring us strong gusty winds. Starting tonight, the wind will ramp up. Tomorrow, we have a wind advisory already in place, which, Gabby, I know you were talking about how you were covering flights. Tomorrow is going to be a bumpy ride for folks.
I know.
Because we've got wind gusts tomorrow at 45 to 50 miles per hour plus throughout the afternoon, really throughout the day. And then highs, 36, but most of the day is going to be in the mid-30s, if not low 30s. And then Thursday, turkey trots in the morning.
That's true.
Lows are going to be in the 20s. So the morning is going to start off in the 20s, feeling like you could be in the single digits. So dress for that if you're going out and running your 5K. And then afternoon high is around freezing, but at least it's dry for a few days. This weekend is really when we're going to be paying close attention for travel because accumulating snowfall is possible, and actually Saturday especially. We could see it in Chicagoland. Friday night really is when it starts, but Saturday, even Sunday, wet weather, rain, snow mix expected, highs in the mid-30s this weekend, and even early next week, 33. So yeah, to Gabby's point, today, yes, it doesn't look that good, but outside of that, it's actually fairly quiet and very warm.
So it's going to start getting colder and snowing a little bit, just in time for you to get back home.
Yes, I know it.
For you to maybe have to leave
Friday.
the house. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
and that's actually what travel experts are saying you should do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's coming up on the show.
Let's do it.
Because there's a new interactive experience happening. It's Wizarding World of Harry Potter. That's always a hard word for me. Wizarding.
Wizarding World.
It's not usually in my vocabulary, but today it is going to be, and so we're going to talk all about that experience. Plus, we teased it here in Good Day Chicago. A New York Times reporter convinced their boss to buy this massive mystery box off Amazon. We've all seen them. I think I've seen a couple of TikTok videos where they're unboxing it, and there are some cool stuff, so we'll see what she got. Has they spent like $700 on it,
Maybe
so
some
hopefully
return
something
sheets or something.
But first, we're talking with TMZ.
That's right. We've got Michael Babcock, our best friend. He's not there yet. Okay. Well, we are going to be talking to Michael Babcock. But speaking of these Amazon boxes, I have a question, which we'll find out. But I'm wondering how you purchase one of these giant boxes. Yeah. Because I'm assuming you can't just go on to Amazon and buy. You know, they have like the option of buy new or buy, open box.
That's true.
But like, where do you actually go through and purchase a giant pallet of goodies?
Oh, so
maybe we could convince our boss to buy one.
I have so many questions. Like, who's putting these boxes together? And are they just like being lazy and just throw them in? Or are they actually curating something fun?
Are they coming from UPS where you drop off your returns?
Yes, the unclaimed stuff.
Because I've heard that they don't actually send, now this could totally be a rumor, but sometimes they don't send the stuff back. So what if they throw it into it? We're going to find out.
In my opinion, it's either going to be really good, Caitlin, or it's going to be really bad.
Yeah, I'm probably
just got a bunch of like
really bad
cleaning supplies, but it's not like the high-end cleaning supplies. Yeah, you know, it's just like this stuff like that you already have from like the dollar
utensils
store.
That someone took like 4 forks out of, and
something that's all scratched up. Yeah, they can't do that to people. If they're spending $700, you can't just like give someone a mystery box full of broken things.
Or could they? And then they'll return it, and then they'll stick it in another box. No, I don't know. We're going to find out.
You could get that, and then maybe you could just gift it to everyone in your family if it is good stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Heck, I don't know.
While we're waiting for Michael, can you tell us about what you learned today at the airport? So when people should be leaving, when we shouldn't be leaving, what's travel looking like this week?
You know, it looks like today the worst time would be, I think it was until 3 p.m. and then tomorrow it's noon to 8 p.m. is going to be the busiest, at least on the roads and in the airports. But you know, like leaving later in the day when you're flying, that it tends to, cause a little bit more hiccup. It's less likely if you're leaving early in the morning because there's less stuff that could go wrong, obviously. So things were going smooth in both Terminal 1 in Terminal 2 today, minimal delays. And then they also said, of course, Sunday between, I think, 11 a.m. it was until 4 p.m. is also the worst time, the busiest time for people to come home. But 1.2 million people are going to be going through O'Hare from today to Sunday. Isn't that nuts?
Everyone take your vitamin C. Bring your hand sanitizer, because that's what my concern is just the germs. But they said that this is going to be a record-breaking year,
yes.
right?
Well, you know, the FAA is taking travel numbers from all across the country and said this is the busiest in the last 15 years. I don't really know what happened 15 years ago, actually, to make it so record-breaking then. But for O'Hare and Midway, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's the busiest year ever on record.
Wild.
Yeah. But, you know, it's hopefully projected to go up and up, I guess, as they have things going. But I thought is really fun is that they have some like light entertainment going on at O'Hare, especially. So new exhibits that are there, including a house music exhibit, and then they have some bands that are there. I think they mentioned like a Latin fusion one, plus some kids activities, so face painting in the terminal. You know, because you're waiting there, you're wanting to get there early, so you're taking the precaution in case lines are long and stuff, and then you're ending having to waste some time. So they're making things fun for people.
Gabby, when I tell you face painting to kids these days,
so funny.
It is their favorite thing in the whole entire world. Like, we went to an amusement park with my kids over the summer, and when I tell you, we spent the entire time waiting in line to get their face painted.
Before we get to TMZ, what's each kid like go-to face paint?
Ooh,
what are they asking for?
You know, I don't know. It depends. I think Birdie really likes like cats. It depends on what their options are. They always pick the most expensive, and on the list it's like, okay, $10 for a butterfly on your cheek, $15 for, you know, something around your eyes, and $50 if you want your whole face done.
If you want a whole tiger done.
And the kids are like, I want that one, so they actually look like the thing, and then you know, drop a second mortgage.
Oh, Caitlin.
I should just buy a kit.
Set
up at O'Hare.
So funny. No kidding, yeah. Get your own gig going.
That's what I'm saying. All right. Michael, I heard you're here. Michael, good morning to you.
I got you. Caught me off guard.
What's in your coffee?
By the way, speaking of sick, I'm sorry.
Oh,
my voice sounds terrible.
Is that, what are those drinks from Starbucks?
Medicine ball.
Right, that's what I need. I've got a regular coffee, but I need a medicine ball.
You know, I'm telling the people behind the scenes who are always talking about these medicine balls, I said, do they really work? Because it sounds like it's just iced tea and lemonade. So the jury's out on that.
It does sound like that.
The first time I had it, it was nasty.
I'll try it and I'll get back to you.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
This last time I got it, it was actually pretty.
That's the real
good.
reporting.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good to hear.
All right. Well, good morning to you, Michael. Let's get into our headlines. First of all, actress Tara Reid says she was drugged at a Chicagoland hotel. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, at the Rosemont. So she was there Saturday night into Sunday morning, and it's a bit of a he said, she said. So Tara Reid says she gets to the hotel, she checks in, and she decides that she wants to go and get a drink down at the bar. So she says that's exactly what she does. She heads down. She decides she wants to go outside for a smoke as she's at the bar. So she says and in the process, she says that she happened to run into some YouTubers, although she did not specify who these YouTubers were. So she meets these people. She's going to go outside. She leaves her drink on the bar. She says when she returns that somebody had covered her drink with a napkin. It was a glass of red wine. Covered the drink with the napkin. She says, okay, well, you know, that's a little bit weird because I didn't do that myself. Somebody else must have done it. Nonetheless, she goes and she drinks the drink. Well, she says the next thing she remembers is waking up in a hospital room, and she has no recollection of what happened. Now, there is some video that people in the hotel saw. They recognized Tara Reid, and she was having this outburst, or what it looked like an outburst, and so they started recording. And you know, the medics are called at about 12:30. There's the call comes in for somebody who was sick, like a sick person, and they're putting her on the stretcher, and she is you know, a bit agitated. Ultimately, they get her out of the hotel. She again says she has no recollection of this, and she believes that she was drugged, that somebody spiked her drink with something while she was outside. However, the police say, look, we didn't get, and fire as well, we didn't get a call, you know, and we haven't heard anything about that. So that's what she claims happened, although they have, the police know, you know, documentation that that's what she says happened. So will they launch an investigation? I suppose that's to be seen here. But yeah, well, bizarre incident, if nothing else.
Yeah, especially since it wasn't called in as, you know, someone
Yeah.
drugging someone else.
Maybe she was
Right.
just out of hand, and so someone called on her. But you would think if she went to the hospital and she was really out of her mind, that they would do a urine test or something where they could check to see what was in her system.
Absolutely, and maybe they have, and it's just maybe that's something we just don't know at this point. But yeah, you would imagine it wouldn't make sense to me if that they wouldn't do that. So yeah, well, we'll see what happens. But the video, it was a scene. It certainly was.
Well, you know what, Michael and Caitlin, I think that the moral of the story is don't leave your drink out. Like, why are, you know, sorry, Tara, but like, why are you leaving your drink at the bar and then going to smoke a cigarette? Like, regardless of where you are, it's still dangerous, even if you know some people there.
Right, fancy hotel or not. Yeah, no, I could not agree more.
Exactly. Okay, talking about football, Joe Burrow is back. What's this about?
Yeah, so Joe Burrow, obviously, is one of the best players in the NFL. He got hurt in week 2, so he hasn't played in a long time. We're going on week 12 here now, so he hasn't played in months. Well, he is back, and he announced it in a pretty, it was a funny way. So he is a guy who is from Ohio. Obviously, he's playing in Ohio now, but he's from Athens, Ohio. He was a huge Cavs fan and a huge LeBron James fan as a kid growing up. So LeBron's drafted in 2003. And I think like every kid in Ohio, you got yourself a LeBron James jersey. So LeBron James then ultimately leaves in 2010 and goes to the Miami Heat, only to come back 4 years later. When that happened, Joe Burrow put up a picture of himself. He was now like an 17, 18-year-old guy, big guy football player, but he had his jersey, his small child jersey, that he posted a picture to celebrate LeBron James coming back to Cleveland. Well, the caption on that post was, "We're back." He dug that photo up for yesterday's announcement to announce his return to the football field. So he posted this old picture of him wearing the child's LeBron James jersey, and it was a way for him to announce that, yeah, Bengals fans, early holiday present here. I'm back as your quarterback. So they're playing the Ravens on Thanksgiving. It's going to be a big game. Millions and millions of people are going to be watching, and it sounds like Joe Burrow is going to be playing quarterback.
I thought you were going to say LeBron posted a photo. How cute would that have been?
I honestly thought so too, but I haven't seen
I know
this
that was the longest explanation ever to get to. Just that he posted a picture of himself wearing an old jersey.
You were very
descriptive.
You know, we needed it. People haven't seen the photo, maybe. Okay, yeah, good timing, and it'll be good for some people's fantasy teams as well. Okay, Mike.
Oh, yes, it will.
What else are you guys talking about over at TMZ? Anything that you're looking into this week?
We got, I mean, Diddy, if there's any interest in that, he's got a prison job. He is working in the media library of the prison. I guess media mogul works in the media library. It makes sense. We've got some video of Diddy that we recently posted where he is working in the library, handing out books, handing out movies to other inmates. And I mean, what a fall from grace, but I guess you got to make the time go by somehow, right? He's got until 2028, so may as well get a job and work.
I saw your segment about that, and he looks a little bit different, doesn't he?
Yeah, I guess you don't get the hair dye in prison, and not so the fancy clothes, you know. It's a different life right now for Diddy.
And he was carrying around a book. Did you guys look into what that book was about?
It's a good question. We should do that.
Yeah.
I didn't, but we should. Very curious. It's in the chapel, so I don't know if all the material is religious material. It might be, but I guess you read what you got.
Okay, interesting.
So interesting. Well, hopefully, Michael, you can get some rest. Do you have any big Thanksgiving plans? Yeah, get the medicine ball.
And go back to bed because it's too early there in LA.
I know. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, guys. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you.
Yay, happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Man.
You know, to work in TMZ would be crazy.
Yeah.
And just keeping up with all the celebrities. And I'm notorious for being bad with actors and actresses' names. Like, I know the face and I can recognize them and stuff, but actually, like, knowing, like, who's who, recognizing them on the street, making sure you know the details, it's just
you need to be
another
a Jake Hamilton.
You need to be, exactly.
Passionate about it.
We have an in-house person who can take care of it.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Babcock, always a good time.
He is. Interesting. All right, we have a lot more to get to. We will see you right after this break. Chicago now. We are finally getting to that big package.
The big package, the Amazon package. So Wirecutter ordered a pallet and they did an unboxing. So we are joined by Anne-Marie Conti, who convinced her bosses at Wirecutter to spend over $700 on a 450-pound, 6-foot-tall cardboard box, my husband's nightmare, filled with hundreds of mystery products that had been returned to Amazon and other retailers. And so, Anne-Marie, you assumed what you would find inside may be better than what you found. You describe it as a whole heap of sadness. So let's start from the beginning. Where did you get this idea to even try this?
So I am perpetually online, and there are a lot of influencers now who are unboxing these types of pallets, and they're often unclaimed or misdirected mail, meaning that it's sent from a variety of retailers and it did not reach its destination for whatever reason. There was an apartment number wrong, the zip code was wrong, and so that's what I intended to buy. I was like, we are going to buy a pallet full of stuff and we're going to wire cutter the heck out of it. We're going to talk about product quality, and we'll talk about manufacturing, and we'll talk about all of it. And what I actually bought was a returns pallet. And so that was all goods that had been returned, sent back through the system. The majority of it was from Amazon, but we did see it from a variety of retailers. And it was all, you can see, the majority of it is polyester clothing. So nothing really wrong with polyester, but really low quality, poor stitching. And so it just became, the amount of overwhelm was incredible, as you can see by my face in some of these photos.
I love the photo shoot that you did with them. It totally encapsulates, I think, what happened here.
Where is this? Is this an Amazon warehouse?
No, this isn't. So my husband also, when I pitched this story, my husband was like, I'm sorry, where's the pallet gonna go? And so we had it shipped to our offices in New York City. So our operations team, unfortunately, did not allow me to fulfill my dream of driving a U-Haul through the streets of New York City. So we had it shipped here, and it all went into our testing facility where I unboxed it. So that is, we unboxed it in our office, and that's where it all lay, and that's where I crawled into the pile for the photo shoot.
Okay.
That makes sense. So what are you doing now with the unneeded items, let's say, the things that you weren't that impressed with?
So all of it can be worn, and individually, most of the stuff was not terrible. It's just in totality, it felt like too much overwhelm. So anything that can be donated will be donated. We did have some items that will go into e-waste recycling because they're objects that don't work, and that's why they were returned. But most of the stuff is clothing that will end up, our operations team donates everything that we no longer make a pick or we no longer use.
Okay, so how did you, before we get into the goodies, there has to have been a couple of good stuff in there, good things. How did you buy this pallet? What if somebody at home wants to buy one of these things?
So anybody can buy it. So what happens is when items are overstock or a retailer doesn't want them anymore for whatever reason to make room for shelf space, things like that, it goes into a liquidation warehouse. And so these liquidation warehouses will often sell to the public. And when you walk in, it's just rows and rows and rows of these pallets. And some of them are categorized by types. So we saw a Target Lego pallet, and all the Lego boxes were unopened. So if somebody wanted to purchase that and resell it, they could likely make a good amount of money off of it. So you could walk in and you could do children's toys, or you can do something like we had intended to do, which is misdirected mail. And so some of that you get is good quality stuff. A friend ordered a box, a much smaller box, and she got Samin Nosrat's cookbook, and she got some cute clothing, and then she got some car parts. So that's sort of the luck of the draw with the mystery pallets.
$700 though, that's a hefty price, Anne-Marie. Would you say, I mean, yes, you got a lot of stuff, but would you say that that price tag was worth it, or could you have maybe got this for a lot cheaper?
So the retail value was probably several $1,000s. We looked into how much these prices, what these cost originally, and I think the resale value, unfortunately for this particular pallet, would have been garage sale prices, $1 or $2 an item. And so that is part of the luck of the draw. And a lot of people do make money off of these pallets. They do turn it into a business, but sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
So bad you guys could have opened up another little side business with Wirecutter. New York Times,
Yes.
Wirecutter also.
Hey, not a bad idea.
Get some goods.
Okay, so where are these warehouses that you spoke of, where you can walk down and see the different kinds of boxes? Where are they located?
They have them across the country, so there are various, and one of the sources that I spoke to who really was my guide through this, she goes by Palette Princess on Instagram and TikTok, and she was telling me about sort of a little bit of the underworld around this. So she advised me to really go in person. So if you look for a liquidator warehouse and you want to go and see the pallet first, which I did, but in my knowledge, I didn't realize that it was returns. Now, if I were to go back, I would understand and I would choose a different pallet to purchase. So it wasn't, you know, nothing shady happened. It wasn't the owner's fault. He didn't know what was inside these packages either. And so if, you know, people can make a business across the country doing this, and that's what you often see in these bin stores and in these sort of like liquidator businesses. You will see these products.
What an experience. But like Caitlin alluded to, what were the good things? There had to have been a couple. I mean, the library or the stack of book coffee mug, that's cute.
It looks great online. It doesn't really look great in person.
Oh.
One of the I'm sorry. One of the things that we, a cute hat. You know, there was a cute baseball hat. There were some really cute clothes. There were some novelty suits that people wear, you know, for holidays, like vibrantly colored suits. You know, there was all sorts of sort of fun things, costumes, things like that. We bought the pallet in the summer, and it took us a few months to unbox it and for me to do my reporting. So a lot of the stuff was 4th of July themed. We had some 4th of July wreaths in there, things like that.
So you mentioned we purchased it. From what I understand, you got your boss to purchase it. What was your boss's thoughts on this whole experience?
They were 100% into it. You know, the whole thing about Wirecutter is we really want people to buy the best value for them. And so we really wanted to use this as a way to understand the system and understand e-commerce. And so we really did this. This helped me do a deep dive into returns and what happens to many returns. I think people are really shocked that they don't go back on the shelf. And so we really want people, as service journalists, as people who really want to match our readers with the best products that are going to work for them and not have them return it. It's really important for us to make sure that as Wirecutter writers, we are being as clear as possible about the products we review and the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses, so that when somebody goes to purchase it, they will hopefully be happy with it. Now, if they're not, this should not stop them from returning it. Like the quick and easy returns exist for a reason, but what we really want people to do is take a moment and think about what they're doing before they make those impulse purchases.
That was what we were talking about off the top. Is UPS, I've heard rumors that they don't actually send it back to Amazon. In your research, is that true?
So I think for some, I don't know specifically about Amazon. I know there are various streams where these items will go. So I believe Amazon told me that they check every package, but our packages were not opened. So what I think happens is that some of these items go directly into the liquidations and return streams, and others are opened and checked and potentially resold or donated, or you know, there's various things that can be done with them. Wow. But what happens with items that can't make it to their destination because the address is wrong, often the retailers will not pay for return shipping. So then a company like DHL is stuck with it, and so that's when they bundle up those packages and push them into liquidation.
Wow. You might have mentioned already, Anne-Marie, but were any of the clothing items, were they worn, or was it obvious? You said some of them were malfunctioned, right? But did you find, like, you know, pet hair or some slobber? I don't know.
On the delightful side, there was one package that a woman had returned. By her handwriting, I believe she was elderly, and she put it in a Ziploc bag, and she wrote a note on it that said, "Washed, not worn," right? And so she really thought that it was going to be resold. You can tell by her like nice gesture of sort of informing them. And then we got a man's thong.
Oh my. Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Yellow and fringy, and I don't know why it was returned, but we were very careful to, that one went in the garbage.
Yeah, ew. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised it took you guys so long. You said you ordered it and it took you guys months to get it open. I would have been diving into that package immediately. Like back in the day, remember when you could buy Pokemon cards and you didn't know what was in the pack? And you would rip that thing open. Maybe it was just me as a kid. I'm a little bit older. But that was the thing. Me and my brother would buy these Pokemon cards, and you never knew what was inside the package, and sometimes there was a star card or whatever. I could not hold back. Were you just so excited?
So it took 4 of us about 2 days to unpack everything. So that was 430 packages. It was 582 items. We cataloged everything. And then the other thing that I did, the reason why it took a little longer, is that I then, because all of the return addresses existed on those packages and were not redacted or blacked out, I wrote letters to many of the people to find out why they returned the items. So that it took a little while to convince people that I wasn't a scam artist and, that I was doing this for journalism. And so I got to hear some of their stories about why they returned these items.
Have you gotten a lot of responses back? Like, what's some of what they said?
It's a good reminder of the humanity behind all of this. So some of the tales were really sad. There was a woman who I spoke to who lives in California now, and her house burned down in the Maui fires. And so she was looking to replace all of her everyday items, even this 2 years later. And so she saw these cute, like, peplum tops on Amazon, and she purchased them. And then she was like, they didn't fit very well, and the fabric wasn't great. It wasn't like what I used to own. And so she returned it, and as she should have, right? That's all the more reason to do that. And then there were some people that they said it didn't work for them. A woman bought her mother some hair tools. She didn't want to spend $400 on a Dyson, and she found something on TikTok Shop that was about $100. And they opened it and they're like, this doesn't work. This didn't work for us. So they returned it. So a lot of the things that we talked about, people had the best of intentions in purchasing this, and it just didn't work out. Now, there is also returns fraud, where people will purposefully return something, or they will buy a printer and fill a box with rocks and then send that back. And if it doesn't get checked by the manufacturer and it goes straight into liquidation, then the liquidation warehouse or the person who purchases it on the other side, the reseller, ends up with junk.
Did you see that? Not in your box.
Not in our box. Not in our box. Everything that some items were broken. Were clearly, like, I don't know if it broke in transit, or we had a summertime hat that had fans attached to it.
Solid purchase.
And so I don't know if they worked at the time, but when we got it, it didn't work. So that again is going to go into e-waste recycling. That's how we're going to remove that from our offices.
Yeah, you could definitely come up with some interesting outfits. I'm thinking about the undergarment. I'm thinking about the hat with fans. Maybe I should forget about the undergarment. But you kind of mentioned this a little bit. This kind of has an overlying message too, or underlying message about overconsumption, doesn't it? That we just have so much stuff that's laying around. I mean, that people have bought and they return, it just poof goes away, but really it doesn't go away.
Yeah, and it was important for me to really go through the trash as well. So we retained everything. You can see that in the shot in our freight elevator. And so we ended up with almost 27 pounds of plastic and about 40 pounds of cardboard. Now, of course, the cardboard will go into the stream recycling, but the plastic is very hard to recycle and will end up going in the trash. So it was about 68 pounds of trash that was generated by just this one pallet. And when you think about it, there are hundreds of pallets in a warehouse and warehouses across the country. And so we are over manufacturing. There's so many goods coming into this country, and there are so much that we are not utilizing. And I think it really is, it's a story about making sure that it's not the consumer's fault and it's not really on us to fix, but there is an individual responsibility here just to make sure that we are informed consumers and that, you know, when we are purchasing something, it's because we actually want or need it.
All right, Anne-Marie Conti from Wirecutter. If people want to read more about your story, the research you've done with this, where should they go?
NewYorkTimes.com/Wirecutter. Yeah, it was a really fun story to report, and I really appreciate you having me.
And last hard-hitting question, would you do it again?
I have something else up my sleeve.
Oh,
Hopefully in a few months we'll be talking again.
We will revisit
She'll be
that.
back.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. We appreciate always talking with you.
Likewise.
All right, we have a lot more to get to, including talking Harry Potter, which, you know, seems a little bit Halloween-y, but also
I know,
is very
right?
Christmas if you think about it.
Yeah.
So we'll have much more on that after the break. Hear it. It's familiar. 10:34. Welcome back to Chicago Now. We're talking Harry Potter, and we know, of course, that the store downtown is great to enter into the Wizarding World. But another experience takes it to a whole new level. We're learning more about Harry Potter: A Forbidden Forest experience with Allison Burgunder. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You are the regional delivery lead with Fever. So tell us about this experience. Where is it? What can people expect?
Yeah, so the Forbidden Forest experience is really an immersive way for you to get a little bit more into the Harry Potter world. You start off entering through this village where you have an opportunity to have some bites to eat. You can have hot chocolate, iconic butterbeer, roasted marshmallows. And once you kind of go through the experience, the village portion of it, then you head into the trail where you get greeted by Hagrid and all of your favorite characters and creatures. My favorite is the unicorn. But there's interactive opportunities. You can cast spells, a Patronus.
Wow, okay.
I'm sold. That's all you had to say, Allison. That's all you had to say.
Where is this located and how long is the trail? Like if you want to bring your littles, can they
Yeah,
walk
so
it?
it's in Inglesdale. The trail is, so we're about centrally located between Chicago and Milwaukee.
Oh,
The
okay.
trail is just under a mile. We say something like 5,000 feet flat, which is really just it's a nice outdoor nature experience for both Harry Potter fans and outdoor fans.
Okay, so you don't have to be a Harry Potter enthusiast to really enjoy this, right?
Absolutely not. It has just sort of a magical quality of it. The biggest portion, and you can kind of see in the photos, it's such a light and sound focused show. The production value is really exciting, but then you still, as you can see here, we have the flying car, the hippogriffs that you can bow with, but all in all, seeing the trees and the forests of Camp Duncan lit up is beautiful.
You mentioned music. So there's music throughout the experience. Like I see Hagrid there. Does he talk if you push a button? Like what kind of interactions are we looking at?
No button needed for him to talk, but you do walk by and he has his own little spiel he gives you.
Wow.
Yeah, so he is the, you know, if you remember from the series, he's kind of the entry point into the forest, and many of those creatures are he's the steward of, so he is the one that's kind of guiding you through, and you can see Harry and Draco venturing into the darkness themselves.
Okay, remind me, you might have just said it already, but when is this open until? Like maybe people are busy this week for, you know, Thanksgiving, but I'm interested. When can I expect to see this go?
Yeah, so we just extended our run of our show, so our final day is now January 3rd. We're actually running a promotion this week. We're doing a 15% savings on tickets in honor of Black Friday, but it's a wonderful thing to bring if you have family coming in town for Thanksgiving, for the holidays. Bring them up there, something to all do together.
So obviously we were talking before we came on that there's 152 Harry Potter books, and it follows them as they get older. So during this experience, are we walking through like the Sorcerer's Stone and then we go on to the next story, or is it all the stories put together in this experience?
It's not strictly chronological, but it definitely follows. You can see how one of the books evolves into the next, and each of the parts, how they grow up, because they do start young in the beginning, and then you start to get into some of the later dark arts portions. There's Dementors, things like that.
But is it too scary for kids, or is it pretty lax?
Pretty lax at the end. It's just a hint of a little something spooky, but
yeah. Well, that's kind of how the movies are too. Do you have a favorite spot in the trail that like always wows you when you walk by?
100% for me, it's the unicorn. The kind of the technology behind that, I think, is really incredible, and watching the production team put all of that together.
So I'm
super cool.
Super cool. So I'm seeing all these lights. What time do you guys open? In the afternoon or in the evening? And what time does it close if people are making their plans? Yes,
this is a nighttime trail.
Yeah.
To get the full effect of all the lights. We open at sundown, so right now in the area it's 4:45. I think we'll switch up to 5 in a couple weeks when we pass the solstice, but typically our last sessions on weekdays, they'll be at 8 p.m. and then on weekends it's 8:45, and we say it takes about 90 minutes to 2 hours to complete the whole experience.
Oh, that's gonna ask that, because yeah, like a mile is, you know, not that long. It's doable, but you can sit, you can stop, you know, take a look at the things. You mentioned the village when you first walk in, and that's its own kind of like little space where you can go to maybe some of the little houses that are there.
Exactly. So there's different stalls, there's F&B, there's a couple. There's a beautiful part in the village. It's the mistletoe from the movies, and we do often see proposals happen there.
Oh my goodness.
It's quite sweet.
People, so Harry Potter fans can be very serious.
I was just gonna say, yeah, for sure. Well, and this is like almost like an exclusive look at this world, because usually you see this at Universal Studios, right, in Florida or in Southern California, but you can have this now here, which I think is really special. Do you see a lot of people kind of comment on that kind of stuff, like, hey, I never thought I'd be able to do this if it weren't for coming here?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've traveled, this is our 14th city that we've gone across the world now, so I think, and oftentimes the goal is really to bring opportunity and access to entertainment in the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah, let's talk about how this started, because you mentioned it was maybe overseas, did you say?
Yeah, so it started in 2021 in the UK, birthplace of Harry Potter himself. Was born there really out of the idea of bringing people back together after we kind of went through the pandemic, and providing an opportunity outside to escape into another world with a little bit more magic.
So this company that you work with that's bringing Harry Potter here is called Fever. Is it just, you guys are just doing Harry Potter now? Are there other experiences that we can expect down the road?
Fever has a pretty wide portfolio of experiences. We have a couple other ones going on in Chicago as well. And we, if you've seen things for the candlelight concerts, so that's all under the Fever umbrella.
No way.
Now that you're saying it, I do remember Fever being listed when I looked at the event description. Interesting.
That's so fun. Okay, so if someone wants to come out for an evening trip, they're going to spend a couple hours there. Around where the Harry Potter exhibit is, have you seen any fun spots for people to maybe get some dinner beforehand, or parks nearby if they want to make a day of it?
There actually is, just across the street. There's a very interesting, I would say, eclectic museum, the Volo Museum.
Oh.
They've been great partners with us, very supportive of the event, but they have certainly they close, I believe, just before we do, so it kind of can be an all-day experience in the area, heading from there to us.
That's a great excuse to go there too, because they do so many great things, and I think they have a Christmas exhibit going on right now as well. Okay, so Harry Potter Forbidden Forest experience happening until January 3rd now, and make sure to keep an eye out for Black Friday deals, because that's something people are going to want to get on.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. This is so fun. we had the, was it the Morton Arboretum that also has like a beautiful light display in the woods?
Do. And then they had a beer event too, where they had like all these different breweries come. There's something everywhere for you guys to do,
Mark
whether
your
it's in the
calendars.
city or in the suburbs. Thank you so much, Allison, again with Fever for coming on. We'll see you right after this break. Something that might help a busy family like Caitlin Cody's.
Yes. Okay, so let me just story time real quick, briefly. Yesterday, okay, not normal day. I got up really early, and I'm blaming that for why my brain was mush, because I got to work, and Natalie's like, ooh, I've got a parent-teacher conference later. I said, oh, me too, for my 4-year-old. Great. I can't wait to hear what the teacher says. Last night, laying in bed, and the teacher sends me a message, hey, you had a parent-teacher conference scheduled today at 3:15. Did you want to reschedule? And I'm like, I'm a terrible parent. I can't keep anything straight. So then I feel so bad. And I want her to know I respect her time, and just for her being there and waiting, we didn't show up. And so I was talking to Natalie today, which is funny, one of our anchors, and she was like, you need to have a calendar or something with Grady so you guys can like both see it and be on it, because I forget everything. So all of this to say, we are joined by Amy Briggs. She's the founder of Aviva, which is a new app that uses AI to act as a scheduling assistant for busy families. Genius. I kid you not.
Love it. And you're a great mom, by the way.
Thanks,
so
Gabby.
don't talk to yourself like that.
You're a great mom, and you're having an experience that millions of other moms and parents all across the country have also experienced. So yes, let go of that guilt. We've all been there before.
Oh, and then missing all of the school things that come out in the school. Okay, so you're a mom, and this is what kind of probably where this idea was born from. So let's talk about first your experience as a speech pathologist and how this led you to creating this app.
Yes, so this was really born out of my lived experience. I was seeing families really struggling and drowning in just the mental load of parenthood, feeling like they constantly had to juggle too many tasks, feeling like there was never time to get it all scheduled appropriately. And I experienced it myself as a parent of young kids as well, and just felt so passionate about solving part of this problem. It was never my intention to become a tech founder, but I realized at a certain point that technology could really be the solution, and that's what led me to dive in.
So what does the app actually look like? Is it a traditional calendar, but I see something a little extra, right? A space for notes, it looks like. Walk us through it as we're looking at some of the graphics.
Sure. So the app has a traditional calendar that looks very much like a Google Calendar that you would use. And it also has some other areas that are different from a traditional calendar that really anticipate parents' needs. So we know that you have too much going on. We know you're likely to forget the birthday party gift you need to buy, or the class party, or the early pickup and dismissal, all of these things that are like one-off events that are coming at us in our inboxes. And the app really automatically takes that information out of your inbox, even if you never open the email or see it, and calendars it for you and sets proactive reminders and shows you where there are conflicts. So it's really set up to act as a safety net for any ball that you don't want to drop.
So you said, so it's AI being used here.
Yes.
So how did you incorporate AI into your app?
Great question. So as a non-technical founder, this was the biggest question that I asked too when I said, I have this idea, how am I going to do this? I took the idea to a local tech incubator called 1871 that had special cohort programming for women tech founders. And that's where I figured out how to take this very technical idea and come up with a first version of it myself to make sure that it was really solving the problem that I wanted to solve. And from there, I hired a developer who I met through that network, and he built out the full iteration of the app based on the version that I made myself and got other parents using. And the AI really mimics all of the tasks that we're all doing as parents thousands of times a year. So it's the exact same things I would do for myself, for my family, but now it's automated and I have that time back for putting my phone down and looking at my kids' faces during breakfast and like not missing the little moments that make such a difference.
So essentially it's kind of like scraping some of the messages that that are coming in, right, of its data and putting it in there.
Yes, but more so than that, you as a user are in your onboarding telling the app, this is what I don't want to miss.
So it's not taking all of your stuff.
No, it's all dialed into what you want, and you can change that over time. So let's say you register for a new activity, you can add that in easily. Or you're no longer taking dance classes, or your childcare situation changes, you can adjust it accordingly, and it's really dialed in to give you exactly what you need when you need it, with the reminders so that you got where you need to be.
Oh, go ahead.
Caitlin.
No.
All right. So you hook it up to your email. So like, let's say you have, like I mentioned, the app with the teacher sending me a message. You can't like. Does it connect to all of your apps, or is it just your email?
So it is just connected through your email, but you're going to notice this now that I tell you this. All of those third-party apps that we have to subscribe to as parents, especially for education in school, send email notifications. So we can get all that information from those apps, like a Team Snap, or I don't know if your kids play sports, that has a lot of information that's easy to miss because it's siloed off in its own app. As long as you turn on email reminders, you don't even have to open that email and it'll be parsed for you.
Oh. It sounds like maybe, well, I'm guessing people at home might have a similar, idea. Maybe it's not this idea, of course, but, like to make an app or to really go out there in the tech world, but they don't have the connections. But it sounds like the Chicago tech scene really helped you out, right? From starting from the bottom, I don't know how many connections you had, and look where you are now with this awesome app.
Yes, the Chicago tech community is so special and so welcoming. I would tell anyone listening who has a big idea that this is the perfect place to be to build it. I think parents understand the hardest part of building an app, which is the problem and the right solution, because they're living the problem, right? They understand what needs to happen. The rest of it, the Chicago tech community is so ready to support you. I was floored by how many people not only shared their experiences with me and like pitfalls to avoid, but also introduced me to the next person or a mentor or made that connection and overture. People are just incredibly generous here.
Are you still working in the schools as a speech pathologist, or is this your full-time gig now?
This is my full-time gig now, other than a couple of private clients who I just wasn't willing to say goodbye to just yet. But yes, this is my full-time gig.
What has the reaction been from parents, maybe from where you used to work or your current friends that are using your app?
That's a great question. Overall, there's initially surprise, like, wait a minute, you're my speech pathologist or my former speech pathologist, or you worked in my kid's school and now you're a tech founder? Like, I didn't know you were a coder. And like, I'm not, but I did this anyway. Which, again, I would encourage anyone listening, like, you can do it anyway, right? But the reaction to people who are using the app has been so overwhelmingly positive, and honestly, the part that means the most to me, coming at this as a clinician, I love to hear that I'm helping people. That's why I built this. I want to make parenthood more joyful and just a little bit easier for parents, because I've seen professionally and also personally, parents are amazing and they're doing so much and they get so little credit, and the bar is so high for what they need to achieve to feel like they're doing a good job. And if I can give back even like a little gift of time or a little more ease into people's days, that lights me up and just motivates me to keep going.
Right, because you're not glued to your phone. As you said, you're able to actually look at your kids at the breakfast table, have a conversation with them instead of planning out the whole day. What does Aviva mean? Where'd you come up with that title? I mean, it's a beautiful name.
Thank you. When I was coming up with the name for the app, I was looking for something that was related to time, and everything that I came up with just sounded like robotic and clunky and didn't fit the aesthetic that I was dreaming of. So I looked up baby names that had to do with time, and Aviva was the first in the list because it started with an A and it means springtime. And I thought, this is hitting the nail on the head for me. It's a fresh start, it's something new, it's an easier way, it's spring cleaning, like all the things, and it had A and I in it, and it's the same forwards and backwards. I was like, this is checking all the boxes.
I love that. Okay, so I know your app is going to help parents, but I'm sure when you were doing this research, you learned tips along the way of how to get our life together, get our act together, stay on top of everything. So can you just share some helpful hints and tips outside of course, your beautiful app that you created to help us parents not have the guilt trip of forgetting something important?
Absolutely. So I would say, number one, getting things on the calendar is key. Whatever system you use is fine as long as there is a system. And thinking about things that you might not immediately think of as calendar-worthy events. So are you going to need drive time to get somewhere? Are you going to need to bring things with you to that swim meet? Do you have to prepare something for that interview you have coming up? Everything that you might mentally hold, I would encourage people, like, sit down for 15 minutes and brain dump a list of everything that you have on your mind. And I think as parents, people can think of that right off the top of their heads. Like, I'm brushing my teeth, but oh, my kid needs new sneakers and we've got to get the laundry going, right? It's nonstop.
Buy laundry detergent while I'm there, yeah.
So I would encourage people to schedule all of that. Aviva can do it for you, but you could do it for yourself as well, and it doesn't have to be anything complicated. Get it on your calendar so that there's time protected to do it all, so you don't feel like you're never getting it done.
So is your app, is it kind of ever evolving? Do you have something that maybe down the line you'd like to add?
100%. I have so much I want to add, and it's just a matter of hours in the day for adding new things. But yes, my developer and I work very closely together, and we have big visions for the future of other things we want to add. We would love to be able to auto-register kids for all the activities they're going to, so that fire drill registration morning is easier. We would love to be able to help people out with things like carpooling and scheduling more of those casual things like play dates that often everyone's separately calendaring manually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot more in store for our users.
Is this a subscription service?
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can people just go to the regular app store, and is it available on Apple phones and others too?
Yes, so it is in the App Store under Aviva Smart Family Scheduling, and also in the Google Play Store. So if you're an Android user, we've got you too. And yes, it is ready and available to download. It starts with a 14-day free trial all the time because we know this is something new and we know that parents need trust to use a new tool like this. So it's the full experience of the app. It's not like a taste of it. It's everything you would get as a paying customer, that you can try it and see if it's a good fit.
Okay, I'm just saying, you
Yeah.
know what you should do is get some sort of, like, speaking of like growing on this product, get one of those screens. You know, I forget what the calendar is called, but you can stick it in your kitchen.
Oh,
and it's,
Skylight.
and it's bright, because I literally today was thinking, after Natalie said that, I need to get one of those things in my kitchen that has it on display. So if you do that with your app.
Do you know what the best part is? It'll go into that.
It
If you
will?
have- yes.
There you go.
I think I didn't explain this part, but this is one of the parts that really like gets me so excited. So anywhere you're already using your calendar, these events will appear. You don't have to get into the app to see it. Our goal isn't to have people spend time in the app, it's so they have time for other things. So like your Google Calendar, it's there. Your Skylight, it's there. Your computer calendar, it's populated. It's everywhere you're already using. You don't have to learn a new system. You can if you want to, and if you don't have a system, we've got it for you. But it's going all the places where you already need and see that information.
And it's bringing it together for you, Mom and Dad. I love that.
Yeah, this is such a good idea. Even for someone who does not have children that also still forgets about little meetings and stuff like I did yesterday.
For sure.
That might not be as high pressure or, you know, leaning on somebody else. If people want to follow you guys online, obviously you have more things that are coming down the line, where can they go?
Great question. They can visit our website, withaviva.com, or they can follow us on social media at @with_Aviva, and we would love to have them join us and would love to hear feedback.
Yay! Congratulations, Mama.
you.
That's great.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
is
so much.
what an accomplishment. I bet your kids are so impressed. Like, oh yeah, my mom,
She made an app.
invented an app.
They're very excited, but the weirdest part to explain to them is like, they're like, did you, when you were our age, think about this? And I was like, oh girls, when I was your age, there weren't phones. There was no such thing as an app. Like I couldn't have dreamed of becoming this because it just didn't exist. We had this phone that was attached to the wall that like,
Yes, yes.
that's how we got calls.
Also, by the way, Gabby, your kids are never impressed. It's just not.
That's probably true. It's just like
Other parents are cool, but Mom and Dad are just not cool. I don't know if we'll ever be cool. You know?
No taken. Okay, Amy, thank you so much. With Aviva, again, such a beautiful name. We can find it in both the app stores, Google Play and the traditional app store as well. Okay, we'll have another 11 o'clock hour Chicago Now coming up. We'll see you then. All right, welcome to the 11 o'clock hour Chicago Chicago Now, trading in Tia Ewing from
Yes.
Caitlin Cody. It was a great 10 o'clock hour. Now this one's packed, but I have a question for you, ma'am.
Sure, let's kick
Did
it
you
off.
ever find those keys from yesterday?
I did. I woke up at 6:30 this morning and I scoured the garbage. I traced my steps. I went back to the garbage, touched all kind of garbage this morning. My keys were not there. And then something told me, look under your seat again. So I looked under my seat, didn't see it. Went back under my seat. I was like, God, please, it's got to be under the seat. Where is it? And then it mysteriously popped up. So thank you, God. I feel like
Yeah,
he
you know
answered my
what?
prayer.
That's just a little bit of humble pie coming from him, I think.
I was so happy to find it. I
Saying,
went grocery
"Slow down."
shopping. I ended up cooking this morning.
Whoa.
Breakfast and dinner. So I was on the move. I was up so
Yeah.
early. I may as well had just knocked it all out. So.
All the day of the life of Tia Ewing.
Yeah, it should be a reality show.
No, really. Yeah, I think you need to get those. What are those?
Meta glasses?
Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Yeah.
And then record my life and make it. Oh, that's a good idea for
It's
Christmas.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, you
something
think
to
people
have.
would want to care about what I got going on?
I think
though?
so. Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, but that's everyday life. People lose keys and they have their kids tell them. My
know,
daughter
but
told
it
me
just-
this morning, don't touch her with my wet hands because I was washing dishes and cooking. So, I mean, these are everyday woes
You have
for
the,
people
the
out there.
cutest little story. Plus, you have a good attitude, right? You're excited
True.
to go your places. And no, I think it'd be very.
I'll see.
Tia.
Maybe you've just inspired me
Okay,
to start
sounds good.
vlogging.
Let's do it.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I don't like the clouds, but it sounds like today's actually going to be the nicest day out of the entire week.
And then
so
we're gonna be
let's
bundling up.
appreciate it as we have it.
Yeah, that
there's
cloud
a look
cover.
at the Dan Ryan. Plus, this is actually
It looks
starting
better.
at 11 o'clock until I think it's 4 p.m. is the worst time to travel is today.
You can
Tomorrow
see it.
around the same time, and then of course Sunday when people are coming back from the holidays. Just in terms of being really busy, but the Dan Ryan, it's looking okay right now.
Yeah, it is. I bet you O'Hare is jam-packed right now.
I was
and
there
so
this
is
morning,
Midway.
and it
How was it? I saw you
It
there
was.
actually.
And but they have it all under control. It seems like they have it planned. I asked, hey, did the government shut down? Because a couple people had asked me, like, hey, do you think that lines are going to be longer?
Because of
I
the
said,
government
well,
shutdown.
it's open again. People are back at work, and I actually talked to a TSA spokesperson. They said the same thing. We're all good to
Good.
go.
I'm happy to hear this.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a jam-packed show. Let's start out with what we have coming up, because I know you're going to want to stay tuned in. We have iconic DJ Kaskade is releasing his first full-length studio album in a decade. We're going to talk to him and get a preview of that. And Christmas at Cantigny returns for its third year. What's crazy about this is I looked this up yesterday. It popped up on my Instagram feed and then it disappeared and I had to look it up. So there's this mansion, and I want to say it's in Wheaton, I
Yes,
believe.
you know what? And our photographer, because I asked him how to pronounce it, and he told me, and I wrote
Cantigny?
it down.
Is that not right?
I wrote it down. Let me see. What did I
I thought it was
say?
Cantigny. That's what I assumed.
Cantini.
Cantini?
Cantini.
Oh, so the G is silent.
I guess so.
Okay, all
He
right,
said
well,
it's
cool.
Italian.
Good to know.
I said, well, I don't know anything.
It looks absolutely beautiful. It's a mansion. It's all decorated for the holidays. I think I'm gonna take my kid there. After
think you
looking at it
should.
online, I was like, wow, this is really something. But first, we got to talk about a concerning news story. This is from Chalk Beat on a warning from CPS to immigrant families. I'm just curious if this is a little too late, this warning. So I'm interested to talk to her about it. With over 3,300 arrests over immigration arrests the past several months in Chicago, parents in the city's immigrant communities, they have struggled with the fear of what happens to their children if they are detained. Well, CPS is responding to this, and they're actually encouraging parents to set up caretaking plans for their children in their absence. And I mean, Rima Amin has been covering everything in terms of immigration, in terms of CPS. You've really been busy throughout this year, Rima. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I got to ask you about this. This seems like, and maybe I'm missing something here. I have not looked at this full article, but it seems a little late only because most of the immigration activity has kind of died down right now. So are they saying for any parents that have already been detained that there needs to be a plan in place now?
So no, CPS has actually been encouraging families to do this for several months. Actually, there was, the district said back in January when President Donald Trump was inaugurated, they were encouraging families at that time to set up what they call family plans. So those aren't exactly legal documents, but there's some sort of plan of what to do if something happens to you or if you can't show up to school pickup. But the reason we actually wrote the story, and CPS has distributed that guidance in like emails to families, or they have some information on their website about this. But the reason we wrote the story was because, as these arrests have ramped up, it's clear that more and more immigrant families across the city are making these short-term guardianships or these more kind of legal plans on what to do with their children if something happens to them. And we found that to be notable and interesting. So, you know, it's just kind of going into the additional, you know, factors that families are thinking about as immigration enforcement really ramped up.
Yeah, because it sounds like they're just trying to be proactive.
Yeah,
and now that they've seen maybe, you know, a wave come through, quote unquote, hopefully we don't see that again. They want to make sure that family plan is in place, like you said, making sure maybe a guardian is in place. Any more insight on, you know, specifics of what goes into this family plan?
Yeah, so the family plan I mentioned is more of this squishy, essentially, you know, plan for families to figure out and talk with the school, talk with a trusted person in their lives that could be a family friend, a relative, a neighbor, about what happens if I, mom or dad, you know, are not in the picture. We get arrested, or, you know, even situations where you have a health issue, something like that. But in this context, let's say federal agents detain you. The family plan is essentially this idea of talking to people around you and making sure that they know that they're going to be in charge of taking care of your child, or that you have child care plans set up, and that a trusted individual has important documents, you know, a copy of your important documents in hand. The more legal pathway here that the story goes into is this idea of a short-term guardianship, which in Illinois usually lasts for a max of 1 year. And it's a free form to fill out. And a lot of community organizations in Chicago have actually been encouraging families to fill this out as immigration enforcement ramped up. And what it does is it essentially, you know, delineates who will be the short-term temporary guardian for your child after what's known as a triggering event. And that could be something like, you know, if you are detained by federal immigration agents. And if that does happen, we have an example in the story of a child whose father and sole guardian was detained by agents. The next day, this child's aunt showed up to a school with those papers in hand, and it allowed the school to release the child to her aunt, but also made for a more smooth process to transfer that student to a school near where her aunt lives. So it's just a more, you know, as advocates and lawyers have described it, it's just a more legal framework of what to do in these kind of very, you know, unpredictable situations.
You know, Rima, I know you mentioned that one family. Any idea how common this is within CPS, that parents have been, you know, detained and someone else has had to step in?
Yeah, it's a great question. We don't have a sense for how common it is. The district said that it is usually not common for you know, the sudden loss of parents is just not that common. However, you know, we do know from just additional reporting from other media outlets that there are children who have lost their sole guardians throughout these past couple of months when the federal immigration enforcement was really kind of ratcheted up in Chicago. Just yesterday, I was reading a Tribune story about a 12-year-old girl whose father was detained by agents, and there was no plan in place in her case, no real family plan, or as far as I could tell, no short-term guardianship. And somehow they got in touch with her half-sister, and now her half-sister's taking care of her. So anecdotally, we've heard of more of these instances, but no clear numbers. And I should also state that I reached out to the Department of Child and Family Services, DCFS, which is the agency that handles things like foster care in Illinois. And they said that as of last month, they had still not taken any children into their care whose parents have been detained by federal agents. I don't have information as of, you know, any more recent information, but that should give you an idea of the fact that it seems like there aren't any children who are going into kind of the child welfare system just yet due to this.
Well, it sounds like, honestly, that this might just kind of give people a sense of comfort in such a tense environment. And yeah, sure, we're seeing it slow down a little bit right now, But, you know, there's new articles, new reports coming out every day that this could restart. So would you say that maybe CPS is kind of just telling families, hey, we're here, this is what you should proactively do?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the message that CPS has, in a couple different ways, tried to relay to families, that, you know, just you should be prepared for any situation. And I think from this reporting, I thought that it was a compelling argument to make sure that you have your plans in place, that if you do have an hour or two, or I'm not sure how long it takes, but set up some time to set up a short-term guardianship if you are concerned about what could happen to you, and if you're concerned about, you know, being able to be available and around for your kids for whatever reason. It's free, and it just seemed like it just provides this extra layer of comfort and a plan for your child.
In your reporting, Rima, any idea of what the steps are after that 1 year? Let's say, you know, 1 year passes, the parent doesn't return back to the United States. Maybe they're sent off back to wherever they originated from. Any idea what the steps are after that 1 year?
Yeah, so the attorney, the main attorney I spoke with, said that I don't think she's ever seen a situation where the short-term guardianship ends after a year and there's no plan in place or something hasn't been figured out. So typically, you know, the family may have made arrangements for the child to go back to their parents' home country, or, you know, they have just decided that the child is going to stay for a longer period of time with the relative or the person who the short-term guardianship gave authority to take care of the child. Or the lawyer also said detentions actually don't usually, you know, she hasn't seen a situation where a detention would last that long. Like either the person is deported or something happens where the situation just changes. So I think it just depends, case by case basis, probably. But the interesting thing I learned in this reporting is that even an agency like DCFS is comfortable with recognizing that if you are with a neighbor or with a family friend who isn't necessarily a blood relative and isn't necessarily even listed on some kind of legal paperwork, they're fine with that. As long as a child is in a safe, you know, situation, they essentially said, we're not going to meddle in that. So in the case that you don't have that paperwork set up, it seems like as long as you have a trusted individual taking care of your child and that person has agreed to care for the child and make school decisions and that kind of thing, then that seems sufficient, at least according to the different government agencies that typically kind of monitor this stuff.
Well, I want to believe that they're doing home visits, that they're going to check out where this child is living to make sure that it's a safe environment, because you just never know. So I hope that they're doing
a place to be in.
Yeah, I hope they're doing their work on the ground. I want to ask you, Rima, you know, during all of this reporting that you've done, you know, I know sometimes being on your end of it as a reporter as well, that it's a very difficult task to get information, especially when it pertains to immigration specifically. Have you run into that during your reporting on these various different topics, but still surrounding immigration?
Absolutely, yes. It's been difficult to get, you know, data that we're looking for, or to kind of get a clear answer about what the protocols are, even on the school level. What's the guidance, for example, for a child who has no plans in place and decides to stay with a neighbor? You know, what is that school supposed to do? Do they allow the neighbor to make school decisions for the child? What if the child has a disability? Can that neighbor now become their advocate? That has been difficult, you know, just different pieces of information. I think in part because we are in sort of this unprecedented time when it comes to immigration and how it relates to school. The other side of it is that it's been very difficult to talk to the people who are directly impacted, and those are families. And I think it's for good reason. I think people are scared. I think immigrant communities are scared no matter what their immigration status is. They don't want to be targeted. They don't want their relatives to be targeted. So it's been really hard to get people to trust you and share information. But, you know, there have been people who have been really brave and have been willing to talk to us. And, you know, that's just the nature of this reporting right now, I think, for any reporter who's covering this right now.
Yeah, really. And especially getting into the schools too, because, you know, it's probably hard for teachers and for staff at the schools to not want to approach some of these kids, especially if they know their parents aren't being, you know, as easy to reach. But that's probably off limits, right? Having those conversations with the children, and especially in a classroom setting, maybe comes up in conversation. It's probably a big no-no.
Yeah, that's right. It's CPS policy and there's state guidance too on this, that school staff, the district is not supposed to ask families, kids for their immigration status. They're not supposed to ask for documents related to that. You know, for example, even in the story we're discussing today, the principal who spoke to me said a few years ago she had an unaccompanied minor, a child who had basically made their way from Central America by themselves or in the care of somebody who was not their parent to Chicago, and, you know, was staying with an aunt. Aunt shows up to the school with the child, and the school wanted to enroll the child, but they were nervous because there were no legal documents in front of them saying that the aunt was the legal custodian of the child, and mom wasn't there, dad wasn't there, and they wanted to make sure that this adult in the room could make decisions for this child. And so they, you know, there's state guidance that says you can't push a family to get legal guardianship of a child. You also can't ask for their immigration status. So they were confused about what to do, and then eventually they got on the phone with the child's mother, who was in the home country, and she gave verbal consent and said, yep, I sent my child to go live with their aunt, and that person can make decisions. And so the school, you know, proceeded forward in that way. So that's a long-winded example of just how complicated this can get on the school level.
No, it's honestly a perfect example. Thank you for sharing that.
I have one final question for you, Rima, before we let you go. Any idea, you know, a lot of what we're talking about is very grown-up conversations and very traumatizing and emotional, you know, just as an adult hearing, you know, that a child made that kind of journey by themselves. Any idea if CPS actually has counseling services at their different schools where maybe this is more pervasive for students to be able to have these conversations with someone and not have all of this stuff bottled up?
So schools typically have a counselor in their building. Sometimes they have, you know, often they might have more than one person who's involved in counseling or social work services. The school, again, the school I spoke to for this article said that they've actually brought in some additional services to help just provide extra support to their school community, because there's many immigrant children who go to that school. I think it looks different, though, across the city. It depends on what your staffing looks like. So some schools are able to ramp up that support for kids, and we do know that this is really impacting the mental health of kids, particularly those in immigrant households. You know, we've seen at least one local survey on that, and you kind of just keep hearing it the more you report on this. And then some schools just don't really, you know, I imagine that they don't have the bandwidth to provide that extra support. So but I still don't have a good sense of kind of what it looks like citywide.
Well, Rima, we know that you're busy working away over at ChalkBeat. We'll probably be talking to you in another couple of weeks. It seems like you join our program pretty often, but we always appreciate your time and appreciate your storytelling that you're doing.
Thanks so much, and thank you for the thoughtful questions.
Yes, all right.
Happy holidays.
We will see you all after this very short break.
This Wednesday.
Hey,
Just as it drops, just as the beat drops.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get a crowd like that big at Coachella to get moving, that says a lot about you. Iconic DJ Kaskade is releasing his first full-length studio album in a decade. He's joining us over Zoom this morning. The title of the album is Undo. Thank you so much for your time coming in to join us this morning. We appreciate your time. Let's talk about you being from Chicago. You know, Chicago has a rich house music history. How did you even find yourself becoming a DJ in the DJ space?
Okay, let's just start with bear down, first of all.
Yeah, it's true. Let's get to business first.
I don't get a lot of that in LA, so I'm here speaking with my fellow Chicagoans.
Yes.
I can flex a little bit and just say this has been a wonderful fall season. How did I get into house music? You know what? In the 80s, a kid growing up in suburban Chicago, it was out there. WBMX had a mix show going on, and there were juice bars, teen clubs that I was taking the train into the city and hitching a ride with my older brother sometimes. And house music was out there. It was pretty easy to find at the time.
You know what? It seems like it's very much alive and well. Actually, I'm over in Union Park in the West Loop, and they just had, what's the music festival? Why am I blanking on the name? Where they had John Summit. They had a bunch of artists there. It was a big house music festival. It was so cool, though.
Arc. It might have been Arc. I don't know. There's so many festivals.
Yeah, it's Arc.
Now.
It is Arc. That's definitely it. Yeah, that's definitely it. For someone who wakes up at 2:30 in the morning, though, it wasn't too pleasant. But I'm gonna get a lot of clout from some of my cousins and friends for talking to you over Zoom today. Just so you know. Let's talk about your new album, though. The release of Undo, but it's spelled U-N-D-U-X. You can see it at the bottom there. How's it different? Is there a different style with this one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think this is my 12th studio album. I've kind of lost count, and there's some controversy there because I've done some holiday albums. Do we include that? I've done a lot of compilations over the year, but this is my 12th artist album. And I think with each iteration in each album, stylistically, it's impossible to stay the same. You can't write the same song twice, right? So, I'm older, wiser, hopefully. And yeah, writing about the things in my life. So it's constantly changing. And I think sound design too, sonically, it sounds different than, my first album, which was over 20 years ago.
Yeah, because I was looking at, looking up, Undo and some of the research on you, and it sounds like some of your music, is somewhat, dancey, I guess, for lack of better terms, but this one's maybe straying away from that a little bit. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think listen, when you sit down to write an album, in my experience, the way it works for me is write a bunch of songs, and certainly there's those moments that kind of you extract it, and that's the single. The first single was called Dancer. It's a very, whatever works in my sets and my shows, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can thump it out and it works and people want to dance to it. But I think what's cool about the artist album is just that there can be these quiet moments on there, and that's okay. Not everything's got to be, cranked up to 10. And I think that's why I enjoy the process. I kind of stepped away from it for a while, just because the way people consume music has changed a lot over the last 20 years. I've seen a lot of changes in the industry, but I think once streaming became more popular, I was like, oh, people don't want albums anymore. They want to make playlists. And I felt like over these last 2-3 years, like people have gone back to appreciating albums again. So I was like, all right, it's time.
So I'm looking at your album now, and I looked at it earlier, and I saw that 4 songs have already been released. When will the other 10 songs be released?
December 4th or 5th, whatever that Friday is.
Yeah,
so yeah,
December
that
4th.
first week of December, an early Christmas present or holiday present if we're out there, those celebrating.
Let me ask you, how do you keep, because I was looking at that crowd in Coachella, obviously you could say a younger crowd in some respects. How do you keep so many different age groups engaged? You said that this new album is, kind of like your older self in a way. How do you keep so many different fans of so many different age groups tuned into your music?
Well, I think just naturally, house music is out there and it's geared towards and set up for a younger audience, period. So that just naturally kind of happens. Like you said, a lot of these kids are going out, in the middle of the night or early morning. So I think they're finding it that way by going out to these concerts or venues or festivals. And then I think there's a lot of fans that have been with me for the last, 25 years since those early songs that I wrote about my life in Chicago. And they've stayed with me. It's pretty insane. I mean, I meet people and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we went to a show before we had kids. Now we're married and have 3 kids. We met at your show 15 years ago or whatever." So it's great to hear those stories.
That is so cool. And you're headlining Coachella in 2026, right?
I am. Very exciting. I'm already working on the show. Coachella is a massive undertaking. And it's been 11 years since I've been back there kind of officially as Kaskade. I did a back-to-back with Idris Elba last year, kind of a collaborative effort that was super fun. But yeah, as a solo act, I haven't been back in 11 years.
I gotta ask you this because I'm always the wild card, and I always ask this question to our entertainers that come on the show. What is the craziest thing? You've been doing this for 20 plus years. What is the craziest thing that has ever happened to you while in this entertainment space?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I mean, I've been on the road for over 25 years and have played something close to 5,000 shows. The craziest stuff, we'd probably have to go off the air and I could secretly tell them in your ear.
Version.
I don't know. I have seen and experienced a lot of wild things over the years, from crazy travel experiences to just life on the road. I don't know, sitting in China and eating something that I had no idea what it was. The stories are endless.
We had Kanye's manager on the show, and he talked about how Kanye had a performance in one country and literally had to flee because they got into it with the mob. It was a wild story. So we have heard some pretty crazy stories on the show.
That's happened to me numerous times.
That's
yes.
happened to you too?
Oh yeah.
That's
a very real thing when you're life on the road, because some of these other, countries that aren't as developed as ours, to play big entertainers, there's quite a bit of a risk there that you can be kidnapped. And traveling with when you're flanked with like 20 guards down in Brazil playing, to over 1 million people, it can be overwhelming and scary.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
even looking at the video right now, right? Like, that seems super overwhelming to me. Are you ever up there and you're like, man, this is just too much? Or is it never too much for you?
No, I'm the opposite. I think it's always too much. I think I've lived a life that is actually quite unbelievable. And when I sit and tell stories to friends, they just are like, this is unreal. And I'm like, it is. There are so many times that I've been on stage and kind of have to like look around and be like, this is really happening? This is outrageous. I've played, that time I played in Brazil, there was well over 1 million people in the audience and it was overwhelming. Scenes like that are just right there. That's on the screen. That's SoFi Stadium. I was the first musical act to play that venue, which was, to an audience of, I don't know, I think that was 35 or 40,000 people here in Los Angeles. It's an unbelievable moment in my career. Even looking at the footage, it's unbelievable to me that I was actually standing there doing that.
Have you thought about doing a documentary or, putting out something about your life and the story that you have?
I'm currently filming a documentary. We'll see if it actually happens. I've filmed a lot of my life, and with where we're at in these times, so much of it goes on social media, and I'm in charge of how I market and put my things out there. So we'll see what comes of that. I mean, I can remember, 20 years ago when reality TV kind of first came online, a bunch of people were hitting me up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't handle another layer of absurdity in my life. No, thank you.
Okay, so we came up with a game. It's for you. It's called Chicago Music This or That. You ready? Don't get in trouble, okay?
It's not going to be that hard.
It's not hard. Okay, so here's the first question. You got to pick somebody, okay? Kanye West or Chance the Rapper? Kanye West or Chance the Rapper?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me pick between those two legends?
You got to pick somebody.
Icons. I'm a Kanye stan, but I love Chance. Chance, I love you, dude.
Okay. The next one I'm not even going to ask because that one's
it's house music or step in.
Yeah, we already know that.
That's pretty. Okay, how about Sam Cooke or Curtis Mayfield?
I'll go Curtis.
Okay. Lupe Fiasco or Common?
Man, you guys are really with the tough stuff.
And we can't move on until you answer it.
I love both those guys, and Lupe's been very supportive and cool to me. But I mean, come on, Common with this acting career now, like this guy, I just like every time I see him on the screen, I'm like, yeah, I love that guy. He's a Chicago dude.
Okay, so Common is who you're going with. Got it?
Okay, drill or R&B?
Yeah. What was that?
Drill or R&B?
R&B.
Okay. All right. South Side Jazz or West Side Blues?
I'll go with the South Side. All the time in LA. But I'll share this with you guys so you love it. I grew up a Sox fan, even though I grew up in Northbrook. I don't know. That was mainly just because I liked going against my dad. I like that rivalry. So I get, people always want to talk Cubs with me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a Sox fan.
I love that. And they're like, oh, okay. All right, juke or footwork?
Footwork.
All right, I'll make this one the last one. Ravinia or Lollapalooza? I already know the answer to that one.
Oh, Lollapalooza. But Ravinia is beautiful and unique to Chicago. Unbelievable place, man.
Okay, here's the last one. Twista or Do or Die? I got to ask that one. Ooh, you're thinking.
Do or die.
Do or die.
Okay.
Wow.
You were good sport. You were
very good. You were a little concerned. You didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so that tells me a lot about you. You're very passionate and empathetic, so that's a good thing.
Nice guy, Kaskade.
I see it in you. I see it in you. You have a story for us.
Yeah.
It could be something with a fan. It could be one of these that's so intriguing. That's so intriguing to your friends.
What's intriguing? I think just the travel alone. People, like I leave for the weekend and it's like I'll do Singapore and Guangzhou and, and then be back home on Sunday and go to church with my family. And people are like, wait, where were you last night? What's happening? How's that possible? I'm like, well, the Dateline when you fly.
Well, we appreciate you being with us. You've been a lot of fun.
Yes.
Undo fully drops December 4th right now. 4 songs are released. You can go check them out. DJ Kaskade, it's been an absolute pleasure. You were a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll have you
Chicago.
We'll have you live in person next time.
Yeah, we have a nice comfy brown seat for you right here.
I love that.
Happy holidays. All right, well, speaking of holidays, we are coming up. He's been waiting in the wings patiently. Alderman Matt O'Shea talking about the 17th annual Beverly Hills. I say just Beverly. I'm curious, does he say Beverly Hills? The Turkey Trot coming up right after this break.
get those stretchy pants ready because Thanksgiving is just a couple days away. Well, if you eat too much, though, if you eat too much stuffing, maybe a little bit too much pie on Thursday, Alderman Matt O'Shea's 17th annual Beverly Hills Turkey Trot is the perfect opportunity to work some of that off. He's joining us in studio this morning. Thank you, as always, for joining the program.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about this race. What can people expect?
So this is our 17th annual Beverly Hills Turkey Trot. It's a 5K run and a family walk. So as you pointed out, it's a wonderful way to burn off those calories. You can overindulge all week, and Saturday morning you can burn it all off, all while supporting a wonderful cause, the John McNicholas Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation.
How did this race even come to be? How did this run become a thing?
So several years ago, before I was alderman, I started the 19th Ward Youth and Community Foundation, an organization just trying to identify safe, healthy activities for children, families, and seniors. And we thought, what better if we're going to talk about healthy than a 5K run and walk. And we partnered with Live Like John, the John McNicholas Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation, taking a terrible tragedy into something positive, raising funds to try to find a cure for pediatric brain tumors.
Can you tell us a little bit about his story? Obviously, you know, he suffered from that brain cancer.
So John McNicholas was a 15-year-old boy in our community. He was a student at St. Rita High School, was just starting, had made the baseball team, walked into his mom and dad's bedroom early one morning and said, I have a terrible headache. They brought him to the hospital. Very quickly, neurosurgeons identified this was terminal, this was inoperable, and the McNicholas family spent the next several months watching their beautiful little boy
Pass away.
Yeah, devastating.
Yeah, it is devastating. I'm looking at the video and some of the pictures that we have up. There's little faces on some of those that say "We fight for." So there are other children that have had, you know, the same fight as John. This is the 17th annual. You talked about raising money for this. How successful has this been every year for you?
All told, we've raised nearly $500,000.
Wow.
You know, it's just a wonderful way to bring people together, particularly at a time of year when we're giving thanks for what we have. But we're really proud to partner with Live Like John and try to help other families.
Yeah, is there anything new this year, you know, after 17 years? I know that you're probably seeing new smiling faces on the sidelines is always fun.
We're always trying to come up with ways to, you know, to get more children involved, to get more families involved. And what we did incorporate was the original Pancake House in Beverly. They provide a delicious pancake breakfast after the race. So again, it's just a great time if you've got family in town or neighbors who want to get together to come out, support a wonderful cause, and burn some calories off.
You know, Alderman O'Shea, you cover some amazing communities in Chicago. When I think about Beverly, Mountain Greenwood, and there's one more.
Morgan Park.
Morgan Park. Those are communities that when people hear those names, they say, wow, those are great parts of Chicago. And you've done a good job, you know, with maintaining that. Talk about, you know, this is a family event. I saw all kinds of kids there. I saw, you know, it covered age, it covered race. Talk about how important it is to have an event like this that is a safe space, considering what we just saw, which was also supposed to be a safe space, with the tree lighting.
That's a great point. You know, it's incumbent on elected officials to engage in their communities, to try to create safe activities for people in their community to partake in. Something that says, we're very proud of where we live and we want to make sure this remains a strong neighborhood. That's something that we try to focus on in my community. This event is one of many we try to do year-round, bringing people together, focusing on the positive, making people feel that they are in fact a part of the community. And you know, what we saw down here Friday night, once again, you know, utterly shocking. These were kids. These were 14, 15, 16-year-old kids taking Uber rides downtown to wreak havoc. This isn't a case of like what we often hear, like, oh, well, these kids don't have anything to do. they had the wherewithal to take an Uber downtown, many armed with guns, looking to just wreak havoc. And every victim here, every person shot was a child. Where are the parents? What's going on at home?
Accountability has been the top question, and from the top we haven't got a full answer on what that accountability looks like. In your mind as an alder person, you know, I think this is one of those situations. I know this happened in another alder's ward, but this is all of our issue, right? Like, this is all of our problem when you can't enjoy the fruits of an amazing
people
city.
From these wards are going
they're
to,
coming downtown. What do you think the answer is here? How do we try to fix this?
You know, we're in our third generation of the destabilization of many families and communities across our country, particularly here in our city. And people need to be held accountable. 8 people shot, a 14-year-old boy killed. How does this happen? And there's a lot of finger pointing going on, and everybody, you know, wants to point, you know, what are the police doing? We had 700 police officers in the area on what is the highlight of the holiday season, the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, something that showcases the Central Business District, our beautiful downtown, a place that if we're going to continue to rebound from the pandemic, we need people downtown. We need them in our restaurants, we need them in our hotels, we need them supporting the business community.
Yes.
And when events like this happen, that makes it that much harder, which is why it's incredibly frustrating that we're talking about creating a revenue source, penalizing the business community and the head tax. It's just mind-boggling to me that this is the direction that many have gone.
You know, can I just chime in real quick,
please.
Gabby? You know, there's been a debate about the accountability part, and the parents should be held responsible. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that if your child comes down here, they're caught beating somebody up, they're caught with a taser that they're using on police, they're caught robbing someone, that if they're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, you need to track down the parents, and the parents should also be held responsible for some of whatever legally that looks like? Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. Now, the problem we have is these are minors. So if I were to call, you know, the police department to find out, you know, what exactly happened, what can you tell me about these kids? I'm not going to find out this kid's on his 5th arrest. It's his 2nd gun violation. Now, if it's an adult, I'll have that information pretty quickly. But we don't talk enough about what's going on at home. And is it a case of it's a broken home? Maybe a father's not engaged. Maybe the mother's got it. Maybe a grandmother's trying to raise these kids. Well, it's not working. It's a form of urban terrorism. And a 14-year-old boy was killed. That's not upsetting to people?
So what is it? Is it you know, some people like you, elected officials, who are going and chatting with parents, you know, trying to get their attention somehow, trying to spread the word, hey, pay attention to your kids? How do you even fix it from the top?
Because we keep hearing programming. We need more programs.
But shouldn't you be trying to get the parents into the program? I don't know.
Well, certainly parents need to be involved in programming because they brought these children into the world and they're not nurturing them. They're not educating them. They're not showing them any love or affection. That's why they're coming downtown armed with handguns and stun guns and haphazardly punching and beating people.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in Morgan Park, and I had one parent in the household, and my mom put her foot down, and she wasn't playing with me. So that was all I needed. So I get what you're saying about parent accountability. Real quick, for people that are watching, they want to come somewhere safe. That is your event. Where can they go? What time should they be there?
So the Turkey Trot is this Saturday morning, November 29th, 9 a.m. We kick off at 92nd Hamilton Avenue. Get there a little early, but it's going to be a great day.
All right. Well, we appreciate you talking about that. And I know veering into some other stuff too, but it's all very important.
It is, yeah.
And we got a lot of work to do. That is for sure. We'll stay with us. We'll have much more right after this break. Welcome back to Chicago Now. We're going to end this show on a pleasant holiday note here. And there's a debate about the name, Cantini, Cantigny. We're going to talk to somebody who knows all about it. It's in Wheaton. It's absolutely beautiful. There's outdoor space. There's this, I think, mansion, too, that I saw online. And we're learning more about its annual light show with Matt LaFond, executive director there. Okay, Matt, give us the name, because there's a whole debate behind the scenes about how do you pronounce it.
Yeah, that's correct. It's Cantini. It's a silent G. It's a French pronunciation. It's actually a town just north of Paris, France, that Colonel McCormick participated in the Battle of Cantini. He comes back to his estate, renames it Cantini in honor of the men and women he served with. That's how we got our name.
Okay, well, we were doing some research, and I've heard already from 5 people that this place is amazing. So away from the holiday season, you know, tell us a bit about your venue. What do you offer there?
Yeah, well, Cantini, again, is the estate of the late Robert R. McCormick, former editor and publisher of the Chicago Tribune. So when he passed away, he left his beautiful estate here to be run as a public park for the education, recreation, and welfare of the people of Illinois. We have Colonel McCormick's beautiful home, which I'm standing in right now. We have a championship caliber golf course. We have campsites. We have a visitor center, First Division Museum, which is dedicated to the history of the First Division. There's really something for everyone to do here at Cantini.
Yeah, I was going to come this past weekend, but I am coming soon, probably this weekend. Let's talk about, we're looking at like a winter wonderland outdoor space. How long did it take to transform the grounds there?
Yeah, we have a wonderful team, and they started actually on October 1st, believe it or not, and just finished right before the event opened last week. So Christmas at Cantini is a half a mile of an illuminated walk with orchestrated holiday music and light effects all the way throughout. You walk through our gardens and our grounds, and then you end up here at the historic McCormick House, which is open to the public during Christmas at Cantini and completely decorated all along the first floor. And what I'm standing in right now happens to be Freedom Hall. And Freedom Hall was Colonel McCormick's favorite room. And this is where the Colonel actually would invite family, friends, staff, employees that worked here at the farm at the time to celebrate Christmas with him on Christmas Day. So a lot of history right here in Freedom Hall.
I was going to say, it's almost like a little history lesson, even away from the holidays. Not to put you on the spot a little bit, Matt, but you know, what is some of the other Chicago history that you can find there at the mansion?
Oh, some fantastic history. Actually, above the mantle is a portrait of Joseph Medill. Joseph Medill was Colonel McCormick's maternal grandfather. He actually built this house in 1896. Colonel McCormick expanded it in 1936. Joseph Medill was one of the co-founders of the Chicago Tribune, former mayor of the city of Chicago in 1871, and he helped name the Republican Party and helped get Abraham Lincoln elected.
That tree behind you looks better than some of the trees that we've seen across the country revealed in these cities. How tall is that tree behind you?
Yeah, this tree is fantastic. That was decorated by our own director of horticulture. This is a 20-foot high tree. And this tree resembles what Colonel McCormick would have had here during the 30s and the 40s. You notice it has extra large ornaments, the old large string bulbs that you don't see too many of anymore. So we've really tried to recreate something that you would have seen when Colonel McCormick was here celebrating Christmas himself.
Oh, that is
so
cool.
It is. It's beautiful. You're
here
walking over. You're walking over to something. What are you walking over to?
Walking over to the fireplace with all these poinsettias. So we have our own production department and our own greenhouses here on property, and we grow our own poinsettias. So we grew 3,600 different poinsettias in 18 different varieties, and they are on display all throughout Christmas at Cantini and for sale. An interesting fact about these poinsettias is they start growing them in June. So that's how much love, care, and attention goes into every single plant. But I think you'll agree it's worth the effort.
Yeah, it looks better than any others seen for sale out there.
I'm going to be honest, I did not expect Matt to have such a beautiful background for this interview. It really is eye-catching. Tell us, if people are interested, what do you need to do in order to, you know, enter Cantini, and also how long do usually people stay there for? Is it a couple hours? Is it a whole, you know, evening type of event?
Yeah, great question. So Christmas at Cantini runs now through January 4th. We're open Wednesday through Sunday. We are closed on Thanksgiving. Tickets they start at $9 for kids, $13 for adults, depending on the time of the day that you arrive. And there is so much to do here for Christmas at Cantini. When you first arrive, you'll walk through the light show. You can take your time here at Cantini. You can actually get a drink. And let me show you this. This is pretty impressive. One of the favorite features of Colonel McCormick was his hidden bar. And when you come here for Christmas at Cantini, we open the bar up, and it shows Colonel McCormick's hidden bar, which has an Art Deco style to it.
Wow.
And you can get a hot chocolate, some wine, a holiday crafted drink in there, and then take that and tour throughout the rest of the first floor of the McCormick house. We also have an ice rink. So if you don't have your own ice skates, we'll rent you ice skates. We have an area outside the ice rink, which has fire pits, cabanas, so you could spend a whole evening here at Cantini. There's plenty to do for everyone. I would say the light show would take you an hour, but you could spend up to 2 more hours here at Cantini enjoying yourself.
I love it. Yeah, the drink is really the seducer here for me to come out, because sometimes, you know, when you're out with your kids, you need something to kind of like keep you going at the same time. And also the price point, because when you look at other prices across our area, it's really expensive when you're talking about a family of 4, a family of 5. Let me ask you this before we let you go, Matt. We are running out of time here. What makes this light show different from all the rest, in your opinion?
In my opinion, it's because not only do we have the illuminated lights out on the grounds, which are spectacular themselves, but we have the historic McCormick House here, which you don't get to see decorated for the holidays very often. And we let people go up on the 2nd floor for a Noel lounge for a dining experience as well. And then we have the ice rink. So there's so many different elements that make up Christmas at Cantini, which makes it really special. We hope everyone comes out and makes Cantini part of their holiday traditions.
One more time, where can people get tickets? Is there a website?
There is cantini.org. Much more information and tickets available.
Okay, Matt, you have been an excellent spokesperson, and thank you again for a little bit of a tour in the McCormick Mansion there.
I can't wait to go.
All right, we'll post some more information too. That's definitely going to be a trip that we're going to have to make.
Going.
Thank you for your time. All right,
it's been a great day.
Closer to Thanksgiving. I cannot believe it.
I cannot believe it either. I'm looking forward to getting some of my shopping out of the way on Black Friday for the kids. All right, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really fun show today.
It has been.
Yeah, it lifted my spirits at the end.
We will see you on Wednesday.
See you then. Happy Hump Day tomorrow.
Wednesday is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland.
When you say